Hello everyone and welcome back to this new series that I'm creating on how to attack like the magician, the great Mikhail, former world champion, where we are going to go over some of the games from the book by his mentor, Alexander Koblenz, where he and Tal himself went over the games that Tal played and decided, where the mistakes were, why the attacks were so accomplished and, well, many other interesting things. This, for example, is from the Tournament of Moscow 1971, and even though Tal didn't do that incredibly well in the tournament, he got shared 6th place with Boris Spassky. The tournament was won by Anatoly Karpov and Leonid Stein. This game really does stand out, and when talking about 1971 in chess, we mostly talk about Bobby Fischer and his candidates matches, but that's also very interesting because, for example, Wolfgang Uhlmann, he also played the Palma de Mallorca interzonal tournament that Bobby Fischer spectacularly won, and he qualified for the candidates matches. He actually got 6th place in the Palma de Mallorca interzonal, and Fischer defeated Mark Taimanov in the quarterfinals with a that brutal result of 6-0, and Wolfgang Uhlmann faced Bent Larsen in the quarterfinals. And had he defeated Bent Larsen, it would be actually Wolfgang Uhlmann and Bobby Fischer in the semifinals of the candidates matches of 1971. But Larsen defeated Uhlmann, and so Larsen faced Fischer, and then got obliterated also with a result of 6-0. But yeah, a very, very strong player, and especially at the time this was played in 1971, he was incredibly strong. So that makes this, game and this entire feat even that more impressive. So let's check it out. Tal has the white pieces, and he opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e6. Wolfgang replies with the French defense. We have pawn to d4, pawn to d5, and knight to d2. Sort of the same as when you play knight to c3, but not really, as it can go the other way around. More often than not, it doesn't. Sometimes people just play d captures on e4, and it's completely the same. But here we have pawn to c5, the open Tarrasch French. We have knight g2 f3 and knight to c6, and here Tal says that pretty much everyone plays d captures on d5 almost exclusively, sometimes d captures on c5. You can also play pawn to c3, but Tal plays bishop to b5, and there are two reasons why Tal does it. First, it is a move recommended by former world champion Alexander Alexandrovich Alechin, saying that it has incredible hidden potential that not many people use. And another one is that Wolfgang was known to play his openings extremely quickly. He knew them very well, and if Tal played e captures on d5 or d captures on c5, Wolfgang would just blitz out the next 10 or 15 moves. However, here, upon playing bishop to b5, Wolfgang went into a 20-minute thing. So bishop to b5 really threw him off guard, and he couldn't just, do what he does best in the opening. So, okay, in the end, he played d captures on e4, which is a perfectly fine move. Tal played knight captures on e4 and bishop to d7, unpinning. And here Tal says that we should, get our files open as quickly as possible, get our pieces developed as quickly as possible, and then, each tempo will be even more valuable, whatever that means. But he plays bishop to g5 with tempo, obviously, and it's, not every day that you have bishops, two bishops on the 5th rank, b5 and g5, the knight's already in the game, so Tal is really going for development here. We have queen to a5 check, this forces knight back to c3, so it hinders Tal's development a little bit. Knight to c3 and c captures on d4. Okay, knight captures on d4, and now bishop to b4. Here Tal says that he was sort of expecting bishop to e7 because it was known theory at the time, and then something like bishop back to e3, queen to c7, but that he would not play that. He was actually looking at queen to d2, and after knight to f6, castles queenside, and then it's a complete mess of a position. Later on, you have knight b3 with a tempo on the queen, and you can just start marching those pawns up the board. So instead, after knight captures on d4, bishop to b4 was played, now pinning the knight, but also threatening to win a pawn with bishop captures on c3. And here Tal did something very interesting. He castled kingside, and he invited bishop captures on c3. Now, the bishop captures on c3 move is the top move recommended by the engine because it ruins white's pawn structure, and there's no downside to it other than, okay, not having a bishop pair, but here obviously it doesn't matter. But there's also a problem of after bishop captures on c3 and b captures that you have to not play queen captures on c3. And this is exactly what Wolfgang did, and probably it all comes down to Tal playing this bishop to b5 move. He completely got Wolfgang out of his comfort zone. He got him thinking, and here he knew he was playing against Tal. Okay, Tal is giving up a pawn for, you know, the advantage of the bishop pair. That is not uncommon. But here, queen captures on c3 actually loses the game. Although to calculate this, I would say it is impossible to calculate this. You have to be able to see the matrix like Tal could. But I will show it to you. Here, probably best was pawn to a6, and okay, then Tal either moves the bishop or captures on c6, and then something like queen g4, you have to defend your bishop on g5, and if knight f6, okay, you attack it with queen h4, and the game continues. White is always a little bit better, but nothing spectacular. But okay, after b captures on c3, Wolfgang played queen captures on c3, and now Tal's position is winning, but yeah. Have at it. Try to crack this one. And I'm sure you're going to see the first move right away, but seeing it all the way, that is definitely something else. So the move that Tal played is knight to f5. And okay, knowing that we're analyzing a Tal game, probably knight f5 was the first move you looked at. So let's see why this is a problem. In the end, in the game, e captures on f5 was played, but just to show you what complicated a position this is, I will show you, even if you play something like queen to c5, which is the top move recommended by the engine, you attack the bishop and the knight, it loses due to knight captures on g7 check, and now after king to f8, which is the only move as this is covered by the bishop, king f8 and now queen to h5. Absolutely disgusting. And now after queen captures on b5, you will sacrifice the knight, and after bishop captures or pawn captures, you will play bishop to h6 check and pick up the queen on b5. So this is only one of the lines that works for white, but it is the best possible defense that black has. Everything other than that, black is even worse. So in the game, e captures on f5 was played, because why would you play that line without a queen? It would be, you know, more noble to just resign. So e captures on f5 and Tal goes rook to e1 check. The only winning move, and now we have bishop to e6. On the other hand, let's briefly check out knight g to e7. You might be thinking, okay, we eliminate one of the knights and then we're threatening on e7. No, just on the contrary. Rook captures on e7 right away with check, and if knight captures, then you have queen captures on d7, and black can just resign. So something like knight captures, queen captures on d7, king to f8. You can even capture on e7 with check. You get the rook into the game. And okay, black does have a rook for the bishop pair, but I mean, the position is just disgusting. So after rook to e1 check, bishop to e6 was played, and now now comes the move that Tal saw, or he felt it, I have no idea, when he played that queen to d6 move. Have at it. Feel free to pause the video and now try to find it from this position. The move Tal played is queen to d6. And now look at this. There is no move that black can make. You cannot move the knight. You cannot move the rook. I mean, you can move it, but if you don't have rook to d8, you have nothing. You cannot move this knight. Otherwise, queen to e7 is checkmate. Remember, this knight is pinned. This knight cannot move. So if this knight moves, queen to e7 is checkmate. This bishop cannot move. The rook is on e1. So what can you play? Again, it would be noble to resign, but Wolfgang Uhlmann, and that's why I sort of introduced him just a little bit at the beginning of the video, he was incredibly strong, and he found the only move that keeps him in the game, and that is pawn to a6, but only if Tal doesn't find the only solution to crack this position, which I imagine Tal saw, you know, when he played that knight to f5 move. So have at it for the last time, finish the attack, and, you know, enjoy this beautiful position. The only move that wins is moving the bishop, but not this bishop. It's actually bishop to d2. And there is nothing you can do to stop a bishop to b4. In the game after this bishop to d2 move, queen captures on c2 was played, even though you could maybe try something, but yeah, there's just no way you can control the b4 square. So and of course knight queen to d4, you just pick it up because the knight is still pinned. So queen captures and c2 was played, and now bishop to b4, and you cannot stop queen to f8 check. Again, if you move the knight so the rook controls f8, then queen to e7 is still checkmate. Remember, the knight is still pinned. So a captures and b5 was played, and now queen to f8 with check, king to d7, and finally rook e to d1 with check. We have king to c7. Tal played queen captures on a8, and here he was in this position on move 19 that Wolfgang Uhlmann resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Again, there's no useful move. Of course, you capture the bishop. You don't even have to win the queen. You can just checkmate the king right away. Queen to d6 will be checkmate, and if you don't have knight captures on b4, you have nothing. The queen is doing nothing. Bishop is useless. The knight cannot move. The position is so bad that the engine is actually suggesting knight to f6 to give up another rook just so black gets to make a move. The position is so bad. But yeah, you know, just quickly here in this position, Tal castled kingside, and you know, that's it. Wolfgang just grabbed the pawn, and then you have knight f5, and then captures. Rook e1 check. Bishop moves queen to d6 again. No move black can make. Bishop to d2, and now bishop to b4. This, I mean, beautiful. This is like an amazing symphony of moves. There you have it. The magician from Riga. What else to say? That is how Mikhail Tal won his games, and that is why. You know, we love seeing them so much, and why I decided to, you know, have him as the protector of this channel. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The third in the series of learning how to attack from the greatest attacker. Like I said, okay, sometimes we could joke around that Rashid Nejmedinov is the greater attacker of the two, but okay, Tal obviously has beaten stronger opponents, you know, more times, and he was objectively the stronger player. But yeah, okay, there's definitely a discussion to be had there. But okay, I really hope you enjoyed it. Beautiful stuff by Tal, taking down an incredible player like Wolfgang Uhlmann like this. I would like to thank Nicola Paolo Sisante, Charles Benjamin Flynn, Diane Schwartz, Mohammed Babar Khalil, and the Animated Chemist for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check upon your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.